Hi, welcome to today's video. We're going to look at a couple of extra examples based on the trig that we talked about in class, and then we're also going to do a couple more a little harder examples, and then we'll finally talk about how to find a missing angle. Okay? All right, now just a real quick review. Your three trig ratios. Your sine is your opposite over hypotenuse, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent. The better you get and the easier that you remember those different formulas, the faster it's going to be for you to solve problems. It's also going to allow you to choose the different equations faster, which makes solving the problems a little bit easier. Okay. All right, so let's look at some examples. Now, we're going to do these a little bit out of order. I'm going to do one of these.
Hey, Coach.
Okay, so on this first example, we'll go ahead and solve for x. So here's our angle, which makes this x our opposite, which makes a 17, or hypotenuse. Okay, so that would give us opposite hypotenuse, so we're going to use sine. So it's going to be sine of our angle, so 49. I'm having hard trouble writing today. There you go, sine of 49 equals our opposite x over our hypotenuse 17. Well, we can go ahead and just multiply both sides by 17. This is one of those easier ones that we did in class. So multiply both sides by 17. So on this right-hand side, the 17's cancel. So we're just left with x. On this left-hand side, there's nothing else we can do. All we need to do is just type it in the calculator. And all right, based on what we have here, we have 17 times sine 49. Nothing left that we can do by hand, so let's go to our calculator. Don't forget, always check your mode and make sure that it is in degree mode, which ours is. Okay, so I can just hit clear to get out of there. So now I can just type in exactly like I have written there. So 17 sine of 49 degrees is 12.83. Okay, so that's the length of that missing side is 12.83. Okay, and that should make sense. This one should have been smaller than 17, and it was. Okay, all right, so let's look at these top two up here. Now, on this one, we've got our angle, so that makes 6 our adjacent side, and x is going to be our hypotenuse. So I've got adjacent and hypotenuse, so that's going to be cosine of my angle, so of 26 equals, well, my adjacent is 6 and my hypotenuse is x. So this one looks a little bit different than the one that I just did. Our variable and our number are switched. So on this one, I'm not going to want to I can't just multiply by 6. I can't just divide by 6 either, because then I'll still have the x in the denominator. So an easy way to kind of take care of that little issue is to make a proportion. So I can put that cosine of 26 over 1. Now I have a proportion, so I can cross multiply. So I'd have x times cosine 26 equals 1 times 6, so 6. Finally, I can just divide both sides by cosine of 26 degrees. I will divide that by cosine 26. And remember, like I talked about in class, the sine, cosine, tangent, and the degree measure, that is all one entire term. Okay, so there's nothing that I really can do different, because it's all, like I said, it's all one bunched up term. So I can't just divide by 26. I can't just divide by cosine. It has to be by the whole thing. So on this left-hand side, that would just give me x. On this right-hand side, I'm going to take my calculator and type it in just like I have there. Cosine divided by, 6 divided by cosine 26, and I get about 6.68. Okay, so I get 6.68, and if we look at it, it should have been bigger than 6, and it was. Okay, so that's definitely a viable answer. Okay. All right, now this last example, take your time, work through that. If you'd like to see that in class, make sure you ask. But for time on the video, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next part. But like I said, if you have questions over those last two examples, make sure you ask in class and I will go through those. All right, now we want to find our missing, now we want to find a missing angle. We found a missing side, now we want to look at an angle. Well, if you notice, this looks very similar to what we had at the very beginning part of what we did in class, just writing the ratio. I need the ratio to help me find my angle measure. So if I want to find my angle measure, based on those examples that I have there, and we'll worry about the triangle picture here in a minute. That's not really part of our problem right now. Okay, so based on what I have there, if I want to find out what angle A is with that ratio, I would press second sine, because it looks like the little inverse symbol there. So I would do second sine, 7 divided by 15. You can close the parentheses or not. It doesn't matter. So our angle would be about 28 degrees. Now the sides I'll have you usually round to the hundredths. Degrees I will usually have you round to the nearest degree. Okay, so this would be about 28 degrees. If I wanted to find angle T, it's cosine, so I would just press second cosine, and then my ratio, 1 divided by 6. So that would be about 80 degrees. Then finally, if I did tangent M equals 3/4, so I'd press second tangent, 3 divided by 4 would give me about 37 degrees. Okay, so that's how we find a missing angle. So let's look at a picture now. Okay, so I've got 15, which in this problem would be our opposite, because that's our angle. 14 would be our adjacent. So I've got opposite and adjacent, so that's going to be tangent. Of my angle, I don't know it, so just x equals. My opposite is 15. My adjacent is 14. And I'm done. That's it. I don't have to do anything else. I can just go straight to the calculator, type that in. So it's going to be second. I use tangent, so second tangent. 15 divided by 14. And the only time that I use that second is when we're finding the missing angle. Otherwise, I just use the regular trig functions. So that would mean that x is about 47 degrees. Okay, and usually I will have you round the degree to the nearest whole number. Okay, so about 47 degrees. And that's how you find a degree measure of an angle using trig. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, make sure that you ask me in class tomorrow.